This is titled A Tale of Two Ashleys, Ashleejenae versus Ashley Robinson, a tragic story of obsession as told by Joemccann. Let's get into this, you guys. It's going to be juicy. Hey, y'all. It's your girl, Mai, and I am here with the latest update on the very tragic story of our favorite internet influencer, Ashleejenae. So her fiance has finally broke his silence and has done an interview with TMZ's Charlie Neff, and we are about to get into all the details of it. But before we do, don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Grab your popcorn, your favorite drinks, and snacky snacks, and let's get into this. Titled, I Cannot Tell You. Now this picture has our girl juxtaposed what the internet says is an AI picture of Ashleejenae putting her fingers to her lips as to shh the onlookers. We get this strictly one-sided, highly edited and crafted story of a woman who was not suicidal, but within less than a month, 22 days to be specific, she was found hurt and rushed to the hospital of an apparent attempted suicide. My first and foremost thing that sticks out in this whole timeline is this man trying to destiny swap right before our very eyes? Is it not highly suspicious he's shifting from his completely defunct company, Asymmetric, to now a non-profit in her honor? Like, how you gonna take somebody else's name when it benefits you, then start a 501c3? This means, y'all, he could potentially benefit from the use of her likeliness and images forever. So the family should definitely file a cease and desist letter on her behalf to prevent him from using all of her likeliness and images. I'm not sure how one figures they can create a foundation in said person's name, but when everything's going down before the person passes away, you're quiet as a church mouse, can't nobody find you, and you're not being helpful. That's crazy. Okay, y'all, so Joe begins this interview with him wanting the world to remember her as he sees her, and that is as Ashley Robinson, and that's spelled with L-Y and not L-E-E. Now, this is completely not how she presented herself as, the actual person we're talking about. As he begins what I call a tale of two Ashleys, Ashleejenae versus Ashley Robinson, a tragic story of obsession. So after waiting 2 months, we finally hear from Joemccann, the ex-fiance of Ashleejenae. He begins their whirlwind romance in November 2024, when Joe and Ashley have their first date. That night, when it was over, she jokingly sends her best friend a text that says, "We're getting married." Now this is, what girls do. We always chit-chat and explain and love and talk about how things are good, especially with our best friends. So he picks back up with the time that they actually, recalling the time that they actually met. He says he shared an electric feeling through his body when she touched him for the first time behind, and talks about how they shared many common interests, that they both were considered rare, so much so that he actually captured them in an Apple Note because it was just simply uncanny. Okay, now, sir, you went home and created a whole Apple Note based off of your first date with somebody you thought was, quote, perfect? All right, y'all, I'm starting to get the heebie-jeebies already just thinking about this. That was very fast. This is the very first date now. But let's keep going. Ashley texts her best friend to say, "He's obsessed already, LOL." Is this an eerie foreshadowing of her own death? Joe continues doting on her throughout this interview. Their similar drive accomplishments, and when they aren't Netflixing and chilling, she loved to attend business dinners, how she fit perfectly and felt comfortable in her own skin, on his arm, of course. Ashley was just, in a word, cool. She had exceptional taste, but was also infinitely curious about new experiences and ideas. And of course, she was out of this world gorgeous. The photos and videos people see of her online exemplify her beauty. But in person, y'all, he wanted us to know it was impossible to put into words how stunning this woman is. Now, y'all, tell me this ain't the words of a man that's getting obsessed already. He goes on to state that he proposed to her on March 27th before they left for Africa and after a Dallas Mavericks game. That before then, they had a private life. Now, how is this the case when in reality she posted their entire relationship online with old boy in the pictures? He goes on to reinforce that Ashleejenae was a public persona. Ashley Robinson was a private person. And yet he's choosing to tell his very personal story about her. And not at one point does her online persona give off fake in the sense of she spoke of living her best authentic life. Her challenges with previous relationships are now how and why she is manifesting the life she deserves. And y'all hear that, ladies? You definitely need to be doing that. So clearly Joe was unaware of this vision, yet he was next to this woman for all of 16 months. But he wants to share an authentic Ashley with us. Oh, okay, Joe. You literally colonizing her and trying to give us a new religion of Ashley right now aren't you? But we ain't going to even go through there because this ain't about race. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let me back on up. He says then she turned to ChatGPT, as she did every day, in regards with almost all aspects of her life to help her analyze the most optimal ways of posting the happy news for Ashleejenae's Instagram account. In addition to her personal use, Ashley extensively used ChatGPT for every single post and reel and story posted on Instagram, with conversations going on for hours sometimes. Now, this is what's funny to me. He gonna say, out of respect for Ashley, the specific contents of her ChatGPT questions and answers will remain confidential. Y'all, come on now. There's an old saying that dead people have no privacy, especially when their death is suspicious. Or maybe I just made that up. But the public doesn't have to see all the contents of her questions, just the ones showing her mental state of mind. That is the very least that can be done for her. Is it not possible that you maybe shared passwords and access to each other's phones or electronic devices? I mean, like your iPad and your phone can sync. Can you have each other's information on that? Like, I know you can't have the same ChatGPT accounts, but you can definitely have shared devices. So anyway, Joe goes on to detail that he supported her influencer career and how he wanted the public persona Ashleejenae to have her online proposal, stating that Ashley informed me on social media the proposal is a huge deal for women. And of course, Ashley is masterful at turning the algorithm to make posts go viral. And that is how Ashleejenae, not Ashley Robinson, received her proposal from me. Once again, Ashley went on to use ChatGPT to hyper-optimize the post about the proposal. The post went crazy viral as she expected. Now, y'all, this man seems to have an endorsement deal with ChatGPT. I mean, it's crazy the amount of time he plugs in, but it also won't disclose what is discussed with ChatGPT. This is very serious, suspicious to y'all. Is it not? Because it's suspicious to me. And also, could this be another case of ChatGPT encouraging a mentally unstable person to hurt themselves? Is this another defense being built? I don't know. I digress. As ChatGPT is definitely not trying to destiny swap with Ashley. Allegedly, Joe is. So anyway, he plugs ChatGPT yet again, stating she was looking up what their baby could look like, eye color, and all that. But this is all typical and very, very normal of women who are expecting or wanting to expect to have their first child. So she is doing what people do all the time. Anyway, so from November 2024 to January 2026, she was excited about the prospects of having their child, and she wanted a baby girl. Talked about how she already picked out the names and was fantasizing, manifesting, all of that great stuff. She was very high on manifesting the greatness that she wants. So anyway, naturally, she was devastated when she learned that she may not be able to carry a child after being excited about having a baby for a little over a year. All of this is to allegedly set the scene for her violent outburst. He said that she put him through what caused her to change personalities so drastically that over the next 3 days, she was completely a different person. That on March 13th, the first day of their snowboarding trip, she hit her head on a rock and sustained a concussion, even though she was wearing a helmet. However, she refused to go to the doctor. For days, Ashlee complained that she was dizzy, was forgetting things she said only moments prior. Nonetheless, he said she insisted on riding multiple days on the mountain after this occurred. For someone who was in love at first sight, his text message seems very distant, as if he was just sending them to a friend when he was checking in on her. Like, who texts messages they soon-to-be fiancé, "Hi, how are you?" After a very hard fall snowboarding, it seems very distant and cold, especially if you just saw her hit her head and sustain what you thought looks like a concussion, which is also odd to say, as if he's a physician and knows in fact that she was concussed. But Dr. Joe, y'all child, he gonna be making appearances throughout this interview, so just be prepared. Grab your popcorn. Anyway, so he stated, after I pleaded with her for days, she went to the doctor when we got back to Portland. The doctor confirmed her concussion and prescribed her medicine. But now, y'all, the doctor didn't say it was a severe concussion or a traumatic brain injury, a TBI. Yet his next statements imply the fact. So here we go. We're going to introduce Dr. Joe. Here we go. Noting from his text. Insert picture 14 to show her being, quote, very dizzy after the concussion, with him asking her to be careful. That's how it's captioned. Now, first off, her response does not align with the statements he is making about the picture. This is completely normal for anyone, including your girl, to get dizzy when they don't eat. And this has nothing to do with being concussed. So basically, Joe is claiming that her concussion caused her to start having panic attacks and then caused her to try to commit suicide. And this happened all within the span of 3 days, from March 13th to March 16th. And most importantly, there was no formal diagnosis or documentation from the doctor stating that she was this severely hurt. So, okay, y'all, this is a completely new one for me, as someone who was actually training to be in the ER for a few years as a trauma surgeon. And of course, I watched a hell lot of some CSIs, Datelines, and the alike. So it's literally his word with no documentation against, oh, that's right, she ain't even here to defend herself. So why don't he show proof of the doctor's visits to verify the concussion, like text between them or something? He's sharing everything else. Those are oddly missing. Saying that while in Bend, I was on and the receiving end of multiple public outbursts by Ashlee, a behavior that I had not previously seen from her. My response to each outburst was to physically distance myself to ensure that I was removed from the situation. Sounds like he's been setting up why he requested a separate room way before the guests in room number 24 complained. Yeah, that's a foreshadow of the future, y'all. Is this a preview of what's to come? I don't know, but we're going to see. So let's get to pictures 15 and 17, as they are offered as proof that she was trying to kill herself in the middle of the road after the Bend, Oregon trip. Now, again, we don't have any proof other than his words. Like, y'all, look at pic 15, where he says, "It's not safe. You shouldn't walk." It looks more like, for whatever reason, she got out of the car and decided to walk, or maybe he put her out. The text of him trying to coax her back into the car after she got out and wanting to walk, and her saying these very short words, quote, "You said your piece," end of quote, is not reflective of a person having a sudden panic attack and trying to exit a moving vehicle out of fear, but of someone who just had an argument and no longer wants to be in the same car with the person she was arguing with. As bad as that sounds, on a desolate road. That's what it sounds like to me. He said that at one point, Ashley tried to open the door of my car at high speed on a rural runway on the way back from the mountain. I pulled over when it was safe to do so, as she was having a panic attack. Another behavior I had never seen before. She got out and began to walk back to the house on foot. I pleaded with her to get back in the car as it wasn't safe for her. She walked a mile and then got an Uber. Okay, y'all, what was they talking about? What happened prior to the panic attack? Is he claiming that in the middle of a random panic attack? And by definition, they are very random and surprisingly come when a person is actually calm and not stressed out. But that's another conversation too. Her first thought during this panic attack was to jump out of a moving vehicle, especially if neither one of them was understanding why she's experiencing these symptoms. And who, by the way, diagnosed her with panic attacks? Again, Paige and Dr. Joe. Are you on the floor? Where you at? Do you have any actual medical proof that she was experiencing a panic attack? Or could they have had a fight and he put her out the car? Or she requested to get out the car? I ain't gonna lie. This sounds a lot like the behavior of a very pissed off woman who may have been left or put out on the side of a desolate highway. That could be the explanation of these text messages, and also be by design to set up a scene for an alibi. Check out this next statement. Let me know if it's strange. When I get back home safe, I arrived to the house and saw Ashley standing barefoot in the driveway. She began to take all of the snowboarding equipment out of my car, threw it all over the front yard and driveways, and then threw the snowboarding helmet towards me at point blank, striking me in the face. I did not retaliate. I picked up all the equipment and placed it back in my car and asked for her to come inside. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it sounds like y'all had a fight and she was left to walk home after being served an Alpine divorce. And y'all, if y'all don't know what that is, an Alpine divorce describes instances when a partner leaves another behind during an outdoor activity like hiking, trekking, or mountaineering, usually due to a disagreement, different pace, or extreme circumstances. I bet he realized that if she did get hurt, it could actually get tied back to him with no possibility of an explanation as to why she was walking out there by herself. So he allegedly, to me, tried to cover his ass. One could say this was a practice or first attempt. Her response of throwing all of the snowboarding gear out and then striking him, and no, y'all, we do not condone violence over here, would have been very much in line with the behaviors of a fight that resulted in her being put out to walk home the 6.6 miles and not a panic attack. And Joe, why was she not safe out there alone? What are you insinuating? We got a whole bunch of wildlife out there probably, or are we in a sundowner town? Like, what are we talking about here? So anyway, from then on, she went outside and began to walk into traffic while threatening to commit suicide by being run over. I pleaded with her to get out of the road and got her home back inside. After which I left the house to create physical distance between us so the situation could stabilize. She then texted her mother, Yolanda. And now my question is, are you going to show us those text messages? I mean, you got everybody else's business with them text messages. Why stop now? We're going to need to see them. So run those. He states, when I entered the house, she began to cry and admitted to me that she was terrified. She was going to not be able to have a baby with me and that I would leave her. I held her and told her it was going to be fine, that I would never leave her, that I bought a ring so we could get married, that I was committed to her. The next day, it was like a switch flipped in her. She was completely back to normal. She had me pull over on the side of the road and joyously run through a green field. Because like pic 17, pic 19 could have literally been for social media. Either could be unrelated, and it appears that she had shoes on in the first pic. But Joe did say trying to kill herself, or were those feet ashing? Because y'all know how it be sometimes when we get home from the vacay. Don't play. But the picture isn't clear. And is that intentional? So since it's not clear and I can't tell if she got shoes on or not, I'm going to ask the question. If someone who's trying to kill themselves, would they stop and think about putting on some shoes before running out in the street.